Dear friends, hello. I'm very happy to see you, and I'm very happy to have with me Amelia Kallman. We decided as women today not to talk about politics because from our hearts we wish peace to everybody and we send our prayers, and as much as we can we help people who are in difficult situation, and our heart is with them. But the rest, we are going to talk about professional things, and I think Amelia will help us a lot because she's futurist author from London. She's specialist in virtual reality. How can that beautiful lady be specialist in virtual reality? A topic that is quite new and intriguing and interesting. And I'd be happy whenever you are located if this reality can help you create something better that what we are seeing today on the news, in the TV, maybe we can create some better world where more people be happy. Let's put it politically correct. Dear Amelia, tell me please, what is this virtual reality and how you manage to be that specialist and this, how we can use it nowadays?
Sure. Yeah, I started in this career accidentally in about 2013. And I started as a marketing assistant at a creative technology agency because I needed a job, any job. And I found that I had a real passion and curiosity and interest in cutting edge technologies. And I opened up innovation labs through this company in London and Dubai and also in Scotland, where people could come and get hands-on with this latest new technology. So in 2013, that was when the Oculus Go or the Oculus first got sold to Facebook, and also Google Glass came out. It was right around the time IBM Watson started, which was the AI. So I really got to kind of get my foot in the door when things were starting to develop. And now, of course, we've come such a long ways in a really short amount of time when it comes to what I call the new realities. So that includes virtual, augmented, and mixed realities. So while virtual reality is when you put on a headset and you're completely immersed inside this 3D 360-degree world, there's also augmented reality, which you're probably already familiar with, whether you know it or not. And that is when we put filters, digital filters over things, or we can see the digital overlaid into our physical environment. So all of this digital layer, this infinite white space that we can create and design anything on, is what we are now starting to call the metaverse. And this is an area where brands have lots of opportunities to create new ways to engage with customers and with employees. I think when it comes to business, we're going to see a tipping point for these technologies being used in enterprise by about 2025. And over the last couple of years during the pandemic, we've really understood how important it is to be able to collaborate and train people and interact over geographic locations. So these technologies potentially can bridge that gap and allow us to train and collaborate and design in ways that are really immersive and second only to being there in person. So I have a lot of hope for how these technologies can benefit people.
So you think that people who are a little bit isolated, who don't have big offices, who don't have big staff, who are not big brands like Mercedes or BMW, they can use this virtual reality to promote their brands, isn't it?
There's certainly opportunities, and right now is a really interesting time. So I would like to make the point that at the moment we don't actually have a true metaverse, in that we don't have interoperability between these different universes. So for instance, we have Facebook's Horizon, we have Microsoft's Mesh, we have Fortnite and Roblox and all these different kind of little universes with no way to move in between them. So there's an opportunity there to pick one that has an audience already that is the audience that you want to tap into, and really start to make a presence known there. And whether that's by sponsoring games that are already happening or establishing a location, a brand town that people can come to, or even just offering your clients the opportunity to have a quote face to face within these virtual spaces. So they could potentially sit down with somebody like the CEO of a company who they wouldn't be able to sit down with otherwise inside these virtual spaces.
Tell me, please, Amelia, how are you connected with virtual reality? Are you working with them? Are you selling them? Are you, let's say, if I have a big office and I will say, Amelia, please come and install it in my office. What are you doing exactly?
That's a good question. So when I went freelance in 2017, a big part of that was I I felt like I had been in a position where I was selling this technology. And for me, there's two different sides of technologies. There's great opportunities, but on the other side there's still risk, and there's still things that we need to be aware of, and go in with our eyes wide open and not kind of be blind to them. So as an independent futurist, I'm in a position where I can really educate people around both opportunities as well as risks, in the hopes that we can use this technology to better ourselves as people and as society. So mostly I do a lot of education. So I do a lot of talking, a lot of research, a lot of reports. I am an international speaker, so I love speaking at conferences and really sharing my enthusiasm for these technologies. And I also help consult and strategize with companies who are looking to utilize these technologies within their companies, and also consulting and strategizing about how companies can get into the metaverse.
You said that, Amelia, that besides that there are many advantages for the companies and for the brands, there are also a lot of risks. What risks are you talking about?
So I think it's important to keep in mind that things like blockchain and smart contracts and AI, while these are great innovations, they're still new. So they still have bugs, they still have problems, they're not foolproof solutions. And I think, as we move forward, we're learning lots of lessons as we go with these technologies. So potential risks we're seeing, things like fraud cases. The cyber criminals are always going to be one step ahead of what's really hot right now. And while we've seen things like deep fakes come into effect, we're seeing these kind of go into this web 3.0. So taking what the kind of risks we already have on our internet and then putting them into a landscape that is actually 360. It increases this landscape of potential attack. It infinitely, essentially. I mean, it's really opening up new areas where people can have potential to be at risk. So what's really interesting is we're seeing metaverse spaces arising that are geared towards children as safe spaces, that you can verify the people who are inside of there through a school verification blockchain program. We're seeing safe spaces arrive for the LGBTQ plus community inside a metaverse scenario. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these progress, because the companies that are putting safety first and are including their audience as stakeholders and being transparent about what they're doing to protect them inside these spaces, I think are going to be the ones that come out on top.
Because you think that, let's say, people can do a lot of robbery, or maybe something that we are not aware of because we don't know what is virtual reality is. A lot of things might happen. Maybe the personal information that can leak out and you will regret. By the way, is it truth or not? I noticed that on the walls of many people today in Facebook, they said, I don't allow anybody use my photos, because they said from the 1st of March, there is the new law that Meta, or Facebook as it was called before, can use all the details, all the photos, all the reportage. And there were a lot of people who were writing, I don't give the permission to use that. Of course, we're not aware. Maybe you put some photo 10 years ago and now you regret.
Yeah, I know. I personally think that we need some kind of data reform. And what makes it difficult is because we don't have global regulations when it comes to data. Every society is different, and I've seen these ones before with Facebook. I'm not on Facebook personally, but I have seen these in the past come up, and it is really interesting because one of the things to keep in mind when we're looking at Web3 and the metaverse. Actually, let me go back. When we had Web 1, the very first internet, it was designed by technologists and academics with government oversight and agreements as a way to share information across geographic locations. But this Web3 is very much being driven by big tech companies without any oversight, with commerce at its core. And when I'm talking about commerce, I'm talking about you and me and our data and attention, because that's what makes these companies money. So it does change the kind of very core of the internet we're looking at. That said, it has the opportunity to either bring greater equality or also inequality. The idea that you can have these kind of echo chambers in the real world, you can also have those kind of echo chambers in that space. That said, some industries are already really utilizing these technologies and benefiting.
Like, for example, which industries? Is it more helpful for, let's say, for the cars, when you're selling the cars, because maybe it's interesting to be in virtual realities? In your opinion, Amelia, who can use this the most efficient? For which businesses that can be useful in your mind?
Sure, the automobile industry is one that has really taken to this kind of technology. So, from one aspect, you have training within these places. So people have been able to train in a virtual environment before they go in and work in a physical facility. There's also, for the customer end, being able to use something like augmented reality to personalize and visualize what their future dream car could look like. One industry that is really going to benefit is the healthcare industry. So again, being able to train people, to do things like surgery and not do it on a real person who could, pass away on the table if they don't know what they're doing. But also, that's very expensive, training doctors and surgeons. So to be able to do it inside a virtual world, and then also to be able to take a score from that, so where you fall within that, and then the particular areas that you can study to get better at. So potentially this could really democratize knowledge in that area. So you could study with the biggest expert in the world. You could take the data from the best knee surgeon in the world and use that as the standard to which you train every single doctor going through that program. So there's some really exciting use cases there. And then, of course, there's the brands like Nike and Gucci, who are really capitalizing. Coca-Cola, already inside the metaverse with their branding, with brand activations and gamification and things like that.
Amelia, do you yourself help companies who are not that big, not that huge monsters, but small companies or medium companies? If it's the owner of the business, he comes to you and he will say, Amelia, you're a specialist, you are doing great, you're from London. Can you help me to grow my brand with the help of virtual realities? Can you give some expertise on that? Or you are dealing only with the huge corporations?
Yeah, no, I do. I would like to do more. I tend to have fairly big clients, but I am very happy to advise anybody who is interested. And how I would sort of work with clients is originally start to understand what their business is, what they want to accomplish, and see if that aligns with these technologies, and if there's a real opportunity there. And then kind of be able to walk away and do some research and report back on some specific areas that they could leverage to start in that area. And the kind of way that we can measure the return on investment is also really important. So I think it's great to just remind ourselves that you don't want to be jumping in on the bandwagon without really knowing the benefit and the advantage that it's going to give you. So you really want to start with a clear idea about what it is that you want to achieve. So maybe that is just creating some delight and excitement for your customers. Maybe that is giving them something that is going to unlock something in the physical world, using the digital to bring real life physical benefits as well. These are really interesting ways that brands can kind of put their foot in the water and also start to engage their customers and their people.
Tell me, please, you did some unique show. What's the name of this show? Kind of burlesque show or something like that in 360 degree, which sounds like a miracle. How you did it? Was it interesting for you? Was it successful in your mind? And is there is future for show business to do something like that?
Yeah. So I was a bit before my time, I gotta say. We did it in 2015, believe it or not. And to be honest, when we did it, the technology wasn't quite there yet. We did it with GoPros kind of taped together in these rigs. It was before they sold these amazing tiny cameras that have cameras in 360 and all this kind of stuff. It was a brilliant learning experience. And also, really fabulous to do because I come from a theatrical background. And
I can see this because you look like an actress and you move like an actress. This theatrical background is there. Don't worry.
Thank you. Thank you. So, I mean, I would love to do it again with better technology. And also now I think there's a bigger audience for it. So when we did it, it was still very brand new for a lot of people. Most people had never heard of or even tried virtual reality before. But it was definitely really exciting to give that a shot and to try it.
So I can see, Amelia, that you are a very adventurous person and you are ready to take risk. You are taking new jobs and you are ready to create something in your mind, which is very beautiful. Let us one more time. I would like to thank you and let's spread our positive energy to all people who are now in different situations. And let there will be peace everywhere, especially in Europe, which we love very much, but not specially. We cannot say that it should be in one space. It should be everywhere. So our hearts are with all that people. And thank you so much for sharing that information. I will be very happy if we can start using this virtual reality for small brands, not only for huge corporations. And if they want your support, advice, maybe that you can guide them and help them to build their businesses, especially if it is fashion. I think it can be very useful, maybe show business, and maybe some businesses that we didn't mention today, because this sphere is moving. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
It was very nice to meet you. Thank you so much.